The other day, I was sharing a funny meme that was going around. It was an AI generated image depicting this nerdy looking guy, playing a guitar on stage wearing cargo shorts and these like long socks that came up to his ankles. And the caption was, "You're a musician, not on vacation." Basically saying that musicians shouldn't wear shorts on stage. Now, look, before anyone gets too upset at me, this meme is obviously not meant to be taken too seriously. But it does bring up a valid point about image and about how to present yourself on stage when you're performing. Now, of course, it all depends on what type of gig you're playing and what type of band you're in, but the truth is that most people tend to listen with their eyes, whether or not they want to admit it to themselves or if they even realize it. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's perfectly natural. Human beings are visual creatures. And it's true that you can't fully judge a book by looking at its cover, but if we're being honest with ourselves, we've all been guilty of doing that at one point or another. Now, of course, there are always exceptions to that rule. If you're playing in, I guess, a cover band in a bar, or if you're playing a solo acoustic gig, generally shows like that are much more laid back affairs where most people really don't care what you're wearing. When it comes to original bands, though, see, this is where you have a chance to really make a statement and express yourself, especially when it comes to making a first impression. Now, this video is not going to be a list of do's and don'ts as far as what to wear on stage. And despite me sharing that meme about wearing shorts on stage earlier, the truth is there really aren't any rules. However you want to express yourself is totally up to you, and there really is no right or wrong way to dress on stage. But if you want to know my personal approach to it, I'd be happy to tell you. Growing up, I was always attracted to rock bands that had a larger than life presentation or a distinct look on stage. Now, as you can tell, obviously Kiss was a massive influence on me. But Kiss is also a very extreme example of on-stage theatrics. But they were hardly the only band to use visuals to their advantage. Even as far back as the Beatles, Elvis, Queen, Van Halen, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, Motley Crue, Slipknot, Rob Zombie, Limp Bizkit, Gwar, Michael Jackson, Prince, and you name it. Image has always been a part of the presentation as long as live music has existed. Now, keep in mind, not everyone needs to create a larger than life persona. Many bands are much more stripped down and don't really have all the bells and whistles. I think about like southern rock bands like Leonard Skinner and a bunch of the bands that came out during their era. They were very much about the music first, and certainly the grunge era of the '90s definitely reinforced this particular aesthetic. And by the way, there is nothing wrong with that approach at all. In my opinion, though, I feel like if you're going to be in a band or a group, if you're going to make a choice about how to present yourself on stage, I think it is important for there to be some sort of cohesion or some sort of visual thing, or at least to have everyone in the band on the same page about what they're doing on stage. And now, for me, image is always something that I've struggled with a little bit. In my everyday life, I'm a pretty simple jeans and t-shirt type of guy when it comes to fashion. I've never been particularly fashionable, and and honestly, I know that I'm not much to look at. Most of the time, people probably don't look at me and assume that I'm a singer in a rock band. In fact, I've had people that tell me this to my face that, "Oh, you don't look like a guy in a rock band." I'm like, well, what does that even mean now? Nowadays. I've tried growing out my hair a few times, but I didn't really like it that way. I didn't really like how it looked or felt, so I've kind of kept the short hair for most of my life. I don't have any tattoos, and really the only piercing I have is this guy right here. So I haven't always felt quite as confident going out on stage looking like I just walked off the street. Now, being a big fan of theatrical rock bands and professional wrestling, comic books and movies and all these sorts of things, I've definitely been guilty of going a little overboard when it comes to experimenting with my look on stage over the years. Um, Sometimes it was painting my face, or maybe temporarily dyeing my hair, or wearing clothing or accessories that I wouldn't normally wear in public. Um, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, but the problem that I ran into is that it didn't quite always come off the way I wanted it to. Plus, the guys who I might have been playing with at the time weren't exactly on board with all those choices. Um, by the way, if any of my former bandmates are listening from Vertebreaker and Impatient Nation, if you guys are watching, I just want to say I apologize if I ever made the band look ridiculous or if I ever overstepped my boundaries. Um, I was trying a few things out, and it probably wasn't the right way to go about it. Nowadays, with Sunset Rebellion, my approach is a little more subtle. I'll still wear like a necklace or two, or maybe like a leather wristband or something like that, and maybe I'll spike my hair up a bit, or maybe throw on some eyeliner occasionally, and usually I'll wear like a button-down shirt or a denim vest over a t-shirt. I usually prefer to wear black pants or black jeans instead of blue jeans. Um, I definitely don't wear shorts on stage unless it's like really, really hot or something. Now, lately, Sunset Rebellion has been using red and black as sort of our default color scheme, which is kind of ironic since the last two original bands I was in um, also used that same color scheme. Now, red and black happen to be my favorite colors, so I didn't exactly mind. Now, in the future, Sunset Rebellion might go with maybe some different colors. We're not married to red and black, but maybe on our next album or two, we'll probably switch up the theme a little bit. As a quick aside, before I joined Sunset Rebellion, I was writing some songs and working on a few ideas with a buddy of mine, a guy by the name of Clyde Clark. Um, he's been in several bands as well. He has a new band called Clockwork Decay he's putting together. He was in Failure Protocol before that. But Clyde and I have had to put that project on hold for the time being. Both of us liked the idea of leaning into sort of a more theatrical presentation, whether it was makeup, costumes, or maybe some pre-recorded cinematic elements. Um, you know, if we had the budget for that, I don't know, but maybe coming up with like a backstory for whatever personas we might have used, maybe write a concept behind it, maybe like a graphic novel or something. Now, musically, it probably wouldn't have been all that much different than what I'm doing now, but it definitely wouldn't look or sound like Sunset Rebellion either. Now, I don't know if Clyde and I will ever revisit that idea one day together, but who knows? It might be something I explore down the road at some point. You never know. But it's not exactly what I'm doing now, but sometimes that's kind of where my head is at when it comes to playing around with these sorts of things. But either way, the point of this video is that whatever you wear on stage, whatever you do, it's important to keep in mind that people do tend to listen with their eyes. And that can often influence their opinion on your music, positively or negatively. And like I said, there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do it. But in my opinion, I think it helps to have some consistency and cohesion between everyone in the band as far as the direction you want to go and how you want to present yourself. Because whether or not you agree that image is as important as music, I don't think it's more important than the music. You have to have good music, otherwise it's just not going to work. But I think it helps to have that conversation with your bandmates, especially early on when you figure out, okay, what do we want to do on stage? So that's it. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and X at JackXConnor. All my links are in the description. Let me know what you guys think. Talk to you later.